Welcome to Quick Bites, a video series brought to you by the Washington Hospitality Association, highlighting changes coming to the Washington State Food Code on March 1st, 2022. Today's video is sponsored by Harbor Food Service. Harbor Food Service is thankful for every opportunity to keep our industry moving forward. For other supportive resources, visit harborfoodservice.com, where we believe that life happens around the table. And now, here to discuss food-specific changes is Susan Shelton from the Washington State Department of Health.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our next item on the Quick Bite for key changes to the Washington State Food Code that become effective March 1st, 2022. This one, we're going to really kind of drill down on some food-specific changes that we have coming in the new rule. So let's talk about ground meat and poultry. So those cooking temperatures, as you know, we're required to use a thermometer, check the final cooking temperature. Currently, the ground meat, things like hamburger, sausage, are required to be cooked to 155 and hold it for 15 seconds. And that hold means that you have it at 155 and then you hold it at that temperature. It takes time and temperature in order to kill the germs that we have inside of food. So what we're looking at in Washington is actually increasing it up to 158 and for an instantaneous cook. So what that means is that you heat something like a ground beef or a sausage to 158, and then you're done. You don't need to make sure that it stays at that temperature for at least the 15 or 17 seconds. We do allow, if you want to make a modification to the ground beef or the sausage, the comminuted meats, you can apply for an approved plan if you still want to make sure that you're using a different temperature. You can talk to your local health about that one. The next one is poultry. Poultry right now under the code is 165 and hold that temperature for 15 seconds. I've done some studies with the USDA and they've identified that 165 is enough. So in both of these, you can cook to 158 for hamburger, instantaneous. Once you see that temperature, it's done. Same thing with poultry. Once you see 165, it's done. You don't have to have that additional hold time. We have quite a few changes as well to fish. Raw fish, there's a change in the food code for allergens. Raw fish is one of our allergens that we're aware of. And so if you have raw fish and you're going to have a cutting board, you have the raw fish on there, and then you're going to cut a different animal product, so maybe a chicken, you would need to wash, rinse, and sanitize the cutting board and knife and everything before you go on to the other food product. So again, that's all about allergen cross contact. So make sure that you're storing your raw fish away from all your other raw animal products. Then you're not sharing utensils unless they're washed, rinsed, and sanitized. We also have a requirement in the code about frozen vacuum packaged fish. You might get vacuum packaged fish, so that is inside that tight plastic seal. It's been vacuum packaged, so it's a tight product. And if it says keep frozen on that package, then you need to make sure that you remove it from the package. So you open the seal before you thaw it in the refrigerator, or you have to make sure that you break the seal if you thaw it under running water. The point of this is because there might be a concern for botulism. So Clostridium botulinum is a bacteria that can grow in a low oxygen environment, such as with vacuum packaged fish. And so if the manufacturer has labeled it keep frozen, then you must make sure that once you're ready to thaw it, so bring it out of frozen, that you do break the seal. And that seal, when you break the seal, will actually make sure that Clostridium, the bacteria that causes botulism, can't actually start to grow back. Okay, so if you're going to partially cook fresh fish, such as halibut and salmon, you have to make sure it's upon consumer's request. It's got to be listed on your menu as per customer order. And then your staff will have to have an access to a separate consumer advisory. Because again, the key component that we're worried about with partially cooked fresh fish is parasites. And so we're going to have a separate consumer advisory that you can have there in your facility, inside your food establishment, in case people have additional questions. Another item we want to mention is produce, so fruits and vegetables. Code became a little bit clearer now that unwashed fruits and vegetables, you might get them inside of a box, they're just inside of a carton, they're unwashed, they're not ready to eat. Look at how you're storing those, because again, they've got to be stored away from raw animal products. Even if you're going to wash or cook them later, you need to make sure that you're storing your raw produce. So your boxes of lettuce and celery and carrots, everything needs to be stored away from your raw meat as well. And the last one is vacuum packaging. Some food establishments will put raw meat into a bag, remove the oxygen, so they'll vacuum pack it and then they'll seal it. Currently, those are required to be used within 14 days. However, those have all expanded. Just want to mention this one to make sure that anyone that does vacuum packaging, there are a few additional options for you under the new rule. Want to make sure you're checking with your local health department on those in particular whenever you want to change your menu or make some modifications.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel for all the latest news and updates impacting the hospitality industry.